Susan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're so excited about getting a little sneak peek at your new book, I'm Not Single, I Have a Dog. But I'd love it if you, to get us started, if you don't mind, telling us a little bit about yourself and what sparked your interest in writing.
Okay, let's see. I'm 63 years old. I live in Oxnard, California, and I'm a lifelong dog lover.
Ah, the best.
Yeah, my third grade teacher actually told me to be a writer when I grew up, and I just always knew I was going to be a writer. So I've done things like I was the first female sports writer of my college newspaper. I
Cool.
wanted to get in the men's locker room.
I like it. You're like, how can I do that? How can I hang out with cute boys?
Yeah. So then I worked in TV news for a few years, and I did a lot in public relations, and I blog and stuff. And I don't know, about 10 years ago, maybe, I thought, I always wanted to write a book. And I thought, what do I have to say? And I realized that I was single and that I was a really good judge of character when it came to dogs, but I was really lousy when it came to men. So I'd always say if 100 men lined up, 100 eligible men lined up in front of me, I'd pick the worst possible one.
Oh man.
So I thought, maybe there's other people out there like me.
Mhm.
And I didn't have a sad life or a lonely life. I have a full life. It's just with dogs. So I thought, maybe there's other people like me that just don't have a good picker when it comes to the opposite sex. And what's so funny is I've met a lot of guys that say the same thing about women.
I bet. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
it goes both ways for sure.
yeah. So I decided to embark on this journey of writing, and I took classes and had different coaches. And finally, I learned it's just so different writing a book from writing anything else.
Yeah, it's so hard.
And so I finally learned how to write a book. It took me a long time. Then I tried to get a publisher or an agent, and that is an impossible task. But
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years ago, a friend of mine got me a dog for Christmas, and I named her Paige Turner. And I said, "You're going to get me a book deal." And 4 months later, I got a book deal with McFarland Publishers, and my book came out in 2020. So it's been, or 2021, excuse me. It's just been all about dogs. My life is about dogs.
So then let's talk a little bit about your love of dogs and what you find so magical and compelling about them and why you relate to them so well.
Well, I write in the book when I was the youngest in a family of 3 kids. And I write in the book that my dog Siesta, she was a little Chihuahua Terrier. She looked sort of like a rat. She did everything with me. She was my little sister, my baby, everything. She was supposed to be the family dog, but she was my dog. She'd sleep with me. She'd eat in a high chair. She'd drink out of a baby bottle. I dressed her up. This was the funniest thing. I had a little baby carriage, and I'd put her in the carriage, and I'd make hats for her. So here's this little gray snout. He'd
Oh
lie on
my
her back like that.
gosh.
And people would be passing us, go, "What do you have in there?" Thinking I had a baby doll. And they'd go, "What?" And so she really taught me more about love than any of the humans in my life. I was kind of the different one in my family. As my dad was an engineer, my mom was a teacher. Everybody was very scholastically minded, and I really wanted to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very different, and that dog accepted me and loved me no matter what. So she was the ugliest little mutt too.
The ugly ones really are just like the best though, like they just
No.
really get life, I
And I
feel.
thought she was beautiful. One time, my friend that had a beautiful Pekingese, she
Mhm.
goes, "Oh, there's this dog show." And so I entered Siesta into the dog show. Well, I thought she was beautiful. To me, she was.
Your beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
That's right. That's right.
And you could see her personality just shining from there.
Yeah. So that's what she's in the book. There's a picture of her in the book too. And she lived to be 20, and she never ate a can of dog food in her life.
Oh man, you cooked for her?
She lived on my table scraps, which I fed her during meal times. And my mom would give her donuts and cookies
Oh
and
my
bologna.
gosh.
And she lived to be 20. So
I feel like I'm doing my dog pet, my pet raising wrong now. I'm like, oh,
no,
back.
I don't give mine to. I think it was just a different day and age. I don't know. She
Yeah.
just but I have 2 Australian Shepherds now, and they get sick at everything. So on
Mm-hmm.
strict diets.
How did you, have you always been breed specific, or was it that you just kind of found a dog that you loved and just, it's a case by case for the dogs?
I always had rescue dogs. So my first dog as an adult was from the pound, and she was this beautiful. I say she was golden haired. She was a Spitz mix, but rather than white, she was kind of gold,
Mm-hmm.
and she was the perfect dog for me then. It's interesting when I look back. I see that the perfect dog or the perfect breed comes into my life just when I need that dog.
Mm-hmm.
Because when she was alive, I went to a lot of Hollywood parties and she was invited everywhere. And I'd wear her around my neck and say, I wore my stole,
I love it.
And she liked going to parties, and she'd always just like touch her nose on my leg, like, I'm here. And she'd walk around and clean up anything anybody dropped. And she was just invited everywhere. It was weird. But then when she died, I had moved home to take care of my dad because my mom had died. And before my mom died, she bought me a rescue dog that he was a Puli mix, which is a Hungarian
Oh.
dog.
Mm-hmm.
And he opened up a whole new world to me that I didn't even know existed. So I got into dog sports from him.
Cool.
And so, yeah, we went to a class in Beverly Hills, and the teacher had just a few little agility things out. And I took him on that, and he loved it. So I thought that it was like a playground. I said, is there a place you can go to play on this stuff? And then I found out it's classes. And so he was actually in 2001, the #1 Puli in agility in the whole United States.
Oh my gosh, Susan, that's
The
amazing.
key is there aren't a lot of
Right. I was like, there's like
there,
5, but still.
yeah, and I had never been very much of an athlete, so that was very exciting to me that he and I
Oh.
became the #1 team. But here's the funny thing: I had him. He didn't wear the dreadlocks. He didn't like it. It's really just mats against their fur.
Yeah.
So I had him in like a Bichon cut. He looked adorable. And then I would paint peace signs on his back. He was the peace puppy. So the Puli Club of America wouldn't put his picture in the newsletter when he won because
he wasn't natural, didn't have
yeah.
his dreads. Oh man.
He had his own special look. So I've learned a lot about, the whole dog world.
Yeah.
So then from him, I got my first Australian Shepherd, and they're just such healthy dogs. They're really good all around dogs. They'll do anything. They don't stay dirty. They don't smell. They're very biddable. They're very easy to train. They like just doing what I do in life. They like hanging out with me. So I ended up being an Australian Shepherd person. But the 2 I have now, one, his name is Seven, and he was a rescue from the show ring, and he's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
And then the other one, Paige Turner, a friend of mine, got me. But I do like to get the rescues.
I love it so much. What do you think you've learned from dogs?
Oh, do you have like 12 days?
I have all the time in the world for you, Susan. Let's go.
Just every day I learned something about living in the moment, about being happy with what's going on in your life, accepting life as it is, doing something for others, because my dogs are both therapy dogs. They love visiting the kids. So it's just they naturally do all these amazing things. The sports things that I get to do with them. It's just like looking at the world through their eyes. It's an exciting place, just going on a walk. They're thrilled. What better life is that,
Right. So true. I always say that, like, I would love to be one of my dogs.
Yes. A lot of people say when they're reincarnated, they want to be one of my dogs.
They're like, let me please come back as Paige Turner, please. Oh man. So like, tell us a little bit about some of the stories that we can find in the book. Some of the ones that you were excited about sharing.
The book's about dog love, but there's some hard things in it. I mean, like I said, I'm a very bad judge of character when it comes to men, and I've gotten myself into some bad situations with men. I'm a domestic violence victim. I don't like to use the word victim, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was writing this book and I was going to leave that out because I just thought that's too heavy.
Oh,
and then the
no.
Me Too movement came, and I thought, you know what? That's part of what makes me who I am, and I put it in there. So that's in there. And then I also had a very good friend and mentor, life mentor, and I put her in the book. She's kind of my angel that shows me about life in the book, and in life she did that. And she died in 9/11, so that's in the books. And then my mother's death's in the book, then Blondie's death's in the book. So it's really, there's a lot of funny things too. But I tell people, because of the name of it, people think it's just going to be all funny. So I warn people that, you got to have some Kleenex too. But it was, for me, it was really good to get all that out. And just, I mean, every week I get an email from someone who related to my story in some way. And it's just so nice to know that I'm not the only one that's experiencing these things.
Absolutely. And I think that it's so good to hear that, like, you struggled and made what I would imagine is the right decision to include that information in the book, because I do think so many readers before Me Too weren't comfortable talking about it. And it's just been such a floodgate, and people need to see that they need to relate to things. They need to see themselves on the page. And I think that you sharing that story opens it up for other people to be able to share their story.
Yeah. Well, and it's shocking that I was in that kind of a relationship, but it doesn't just happen overnight. And I was lucky. I had a therapist who explained to me the cycle of violence. And sure enough, he showed up at my door on his hands and knees with flowers, apologizing. And if I hadn't have gone to a therapist who told me, here's what's going to happen, and yes, you could take him back and it'll be good for a little while, but it's just going to do it again. So, I mean, I was just very lucky, and I didn't ever get anything like that again. So, but, my parents, they weren't violent at all. If anything, they were milk toast. They were very church going. Never heard them argue. So it's shocking that I was involved in that, and I didn't know how to handle it. I mean, I don't know that anybody does, but yeah. So that's in the book.
Yeah, it's so hard with those sort of things, especially when, like, you're not around it, you don't recognize it. And like, how if you come from like a happy home, how do you recognize violence in something else? Like, you're like, that's just a person.
Well, and by the time you get hit, there's been all sorts of emotional and mental, I look back at it now and I see, like, he started by putting himself down. And so I was going to be the big person and help him.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Person that he's going to become, right? That I saw. And, that's a typical story too.
So relatable.
Yeah. So I ended up, just putting everything in there that I thought needed to be in there. And I'm glad I did, because it helped me, and it's already helped a lot of people, at least the ones who've written to me and stuff.
Do you think that you have another memoir in you that you're working on?
I'm actually 3/4 away finished with one. It's I'm Not Single takes place over the whole lifespan of my dog Blondie. So it's a long time. So in this one, I take a deeper dive into the period of time where I moved in to take care of my dad. So, because that again is another thing, you can think it's going to be some way, but it's completely different.
Yeah.
And, you can read books about what to expect, from a standpoint of like, it's not real life.
Right. Like
So,
very academic, very
yeah.
scientific. Mhm.
Yeah. So I just thought this would be, and I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. This is just a person trying to maneuver through that world. And it's very, my dad had Parkinson's and he had Alzheimer's like symptoms. So it's a lot to deal with when you're suddenly your parent caretaker. And, I had to deal with my brother and sister, and it was a
Yeah.
lot. So
It's so complex, and there's so many like boundaries that get crossed, and like politics that you have to play within your own family, which is so like, it's a lot.
yeah. And, my mom was a really good weaver of myths.
Mm.
So I believed that I had this really supportive family. And I found out, oh my gosh, this isn't the truth at all.
Yep.
So, yeah. So hopefully, and my friends, my parents were older, and my friends that are going through it now, what should I do about this? So I just thought, you know what, I need to put these things down so people
Yeah.
can see.
So yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing too. Like so many people go through it, and I find like I have friends now who are losing parents and losing grandparents, and the things that they have gravitated towards have been those firsthand accounts, the
Yeah.
things of someone else's experience that help, maybe isn't the exact same as theirs, but show them how somebody got through it, or even if they weren't getting through it, like how they were feeling in those moments, that
Yeah.
they can know that they're not alone.
Yeah. And again, there's a lot of funny things in there. Like my dad watched CNN every day, and I'd come in and I'd say, hey, how was your day? How was lunch? And he'd say, I had lunch with Hillary Clinton. It turned out that there was a Hillary Clinton interview while he was eating. So
Mhm.
he had a lot of really, really interesting brain things too. But then there was a lot of sad things too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, my dog Baldwin, I couldn't have done it without him. He helped me through. That's when I got into the dog sports. So I would, every weekend, I'd go to an agility trial, and that really kept my balance. And in the book, I'm trying to show that it's important to have something of your own, that it's
Mhm.
not selfish. You need some kind of outlet.
Absolutely. And I think that that's, again, something that we have all experienced through the pandemic, is that we've
Yeah.
all had to find worth and value outside of like what we produce. And like, so seeing that is not just like one situation, it's across the board, is like so incredibly poignant.
That's such a great way of putting it. I like that.
Well, thank you. Okay, well, Susan, I have a couple of like real fun little rapid fire questions to ask you. There's
Okay.
kind of like get to know you questions. Okay, so you said that you are a big reader. You love to read. What is your favorite genre to read?
Memoir.
Awesome. Do you have a specific type of memoir that you really like, or like a certain subject or writer, like specific
I
type?
really like Mary Carr. Um, anything that a person finds himself in a hard time and how they get out of it.
Mhm.
So, but I even read like Princess Diana things. So I mean, it's which has nothing to do with me, but I just like I like real life things.
Awesome. Yeah, nonfiction it is. All right. So, what genre do you never want to read again?
I don't really like fantasy.
Okay. Yeah, not a fan either. I get that. What is your favorite time of day to write?
After I've walked the dogs. So it helps get my mind. So, I'll walk them in the morning, I'll write. I'll walk them in the afternoon, I'll write. So it's any time that I walk the dogs, I come back with a clear head.
That's brilliant. Yeah, it's so good too to like kind of chunk it up like that.
Yeah.
What about, when is your favorite time to read?
At night.
At night. Do you fall asleep like a page in?
No, because I want to see the end. I also discovered books on tape, and whenever I drive, I love listening to authors
Mm-hmm.
tell their stories. So that's a lot of fun too.
Oh, cool. So when you get the audiobooks, you want it to be read by the author.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I
that's
really like
cool.
David Sedaris. He's so funny.
He's so good. His audiobooks are so good.
His audiobooks are great.
So
I can
funny.
never hear enough of his Christmas
I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, speaking of David Sedaris and Christmas,
I know.
his elf. Oh man, it's so
Don't you
good.
wish you could have seen him as the elf?
I know. It's so true. He paints such a beautiful picture with it, but then also like, I wish we could see it. I wish there was video footage.
I know. And his sister's hilarious too.
Oh yeah, Amy is so good. And she's in the new show, The Mandalorian, I think. Maybe. Yeah, I think she's in one of the Star Wars shows.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch for her.
Yeah. All right. What is a new hobby or practice that you've picked up recently?
A new hobby or practice. I'm still on my old ones of doing things with the dogs. I never tire of those.
Yeah. They keep you on your toes.
That's for sure.
What is your favorite writing fuel?
Walking the dogs.
Walking the dog.
Yeah. You know, even when I was in TV news and I was in my 20s, this was my first job out of college. If I was sitting there and I couldn't come up with something, I'd walk to the bathroom. So something about the walking for me,
stepping away and
yeah. And like I'd take 5 steps, like, oh, that's how I can finish that sentence. So I say that's my best fuel.
That's perfect. All right. So what is one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
Believe in yourself and don't be so hard on yourself. And don't put up with negative people.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very important. Are you a pantser or are you a plotter?
I'm not sure. I think I'm a little of both. Can you be a little of both?
I think so.
Okay.
I think we called him a planter, maybe a planner. We'll call him a planter.
Yeah, because I do like to plan, but I'm also ready to change at a minute's notice. So
perfect. Let's see. What song are you currently? Do you listen to music while you write at all? What songs do you have on your playlist right now?
I'm listening to a lot of Sia, and I have actually Pandora. It's on right now, the Sia channel. So anything that's on there, it just puts me in the right frame of mind to write.
I love it. She's so dreamy with her music.
Very dreamy. Good adjective to use.
Let's see. What is the best advice you've ever received?
From my 3rd grade teacher to be a writer when I grew up.
That is excellent advice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the fun things of what have you been enjoying recently. Earlier we were talking about what books we've been reading, watching, and listening to. Obviously, listening. What books have you read recently that you'd like to recommend to our group?
You know, I just read Anderson Cooper's new book about his heritage, and I actually listened to it on tape because he read it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's American history that you never know. I mean, you've heard of these people, but it's American history, and I really like that. And then from there, I started listening to his other books. So he wrote one with his mother, and that was really good. So those I've enjoyed. And then as far as like movies or TV shows go, I'm watching Dope Sick right now, which is just amazing. We lived through that. I had no idea. I really, I didn't know anybody that was addicted to that. So
yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so like painful to watch, but it's like such a good show.
Yeah. But you really get the sense of it's not their fault that it is a disease. It's just some people, it just happens, they get addicted to it.
Absolutely. And when like corporations can exploit it, it's like,
that is shocking.
Yeah. It's like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah. And in this day and age, how I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, at least they have to take all their names off all their buildings now.
Yay.
All right. So let's see. How do you unwind after a good or bad writing day? Walk the dogs?
Yeah. I'm very predictable. or hug the dogs, or play with the dogs, or talk to the dogs.
Mhm.
They understand everything.
Absolutely. Are they good TV watchers? Like my dog is really, he can see like dogs on the screen, and like he loves Jurassic Park. Like, are your dogs good at seeing like the
No,
other things on the TV?
Seven more, he's good because he cuddles with me.
Mm-hmm.
And Paige Turner is terrible because I have all this furniture that balls go under, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
right in the middle of something and a ball has gone under the bed. And it is a tragedy.
Oh yeah, everything must stop. She needs her ball.
She needs the ball. And I have an umbrella that I go out fishing for her ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's not a very good TV watcher.
She's funny though. She really lives up to her name of keeping you on your, being a page turner.
That's
Like
true.
she's like, you thought this chapter was ending, but wait, there's
Wait.
more.
Yes, yes. But what's interesting is when I sit down at my desk to write, they don't bother me. I don't know how they understand the difference. Anywhere else I can sit, even with my computer, and they're on top of me. But
Wow.
if I'm sitting at the desk, they just lie down. It's like unspoken rule or something.
Oh
I don't
man.
understand how they understood that.
It's so interesting. I wonder how they learned it. They just, yeah, they respect your workspace.
Yeah.
They
Well,
know where the kibble comes from.
exactly. Well, actually, they're both actors and models too.
Oh,
They do, and that's going to be my next book. It's called Confessions of a Dog Momager.
yes.
So yeah, and it's just the funniest things are what I have to do because I'm the trainer. The dogs don't get any money for being on anything unless they're like Lassie or something.
Sure. Yeah.
But my dogs are just in commercials or print shoots or something. And the trainer is the one that gets the money. So I'm the trainer, and my agent will go, or Seven's agent will go, well, they need to get in the car. But no, they need to get in the car and stick their head out the window while it's going. So I have to think on my feet, well, how can I get him to do this?
Right.
So it's gonna be that will be a really fun one to write.
Oh man. So have we seen Seven and Paige in any national campaigns?
Seven was in a national campaign for United. They flew us to Chicago.
That's so cool.
And it's funny, they flew us in he got to go on the plane with me, but we were in coach, which is fine, except for now there's this much room.
Right. Yeah.
In the seats, and they didn't give me bulkhead. And they go, well, he has to be on the floor. I mean, there really wasn't enough room for him to even get into.
Right.
And I said, well, you know what, if there's not a bulkhead seat, then we're just not going to go. He just won't be able to do the shoot. I mean,
it wasn't going to be comfortable. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they got someone to agree to switch seats with me, but I mean, I didn't say it meanly or anything. I couldn't make the dog
he was
smaller. So but it was fun once we got there. And I didn't have him very long, so it's very funny because I hadn't done a lot of training, but he came trained with basic things because he was a show dog. And there were all these people there to meet Seven because he
so beautiful,
this famous dog from LA. And they met him at this. He works a lot of parties, and they met him at a party. I had to train him to take an envelope up and give it to someone with the winner of some contest. The best airline for dog travel. That's what it was.
Cute.
And so he does selfies with people. He's
oh my gosh, he needs to go to like a pet con, like a pet convention, and charge money for pictures.
He really does. He's hilarious. So so we went to this event. They hired him to do this thing, and we go out and we're on the tarmac, and they're putting him in the plane and stuff, and he's looking at me like, why are we doing this? And so Aussies will stick their ears back like this, but they look really cute when their ears are forward. And so you kind of want to get them. And I kept saying, Seven, ears forward. And I didn't know him. He didn't know me. So he'd look at me like and go, huh? And I hear these people behind me go, look, she taught her dog's ears forward. It's just, he was going, what are you saying?
He was like, what?
Yeah.
The part of his eyebrows was being played by his ears in that moment. So this crazy lady, I don't know who she is. She's my new mom. I don't know what's going on.
She put me on a plane. What the heck?
His life changed so fast, so quickly.
Yeah. Well, it did, because I didn't even tell I was gonna, train him up, and because you have to studio train the dog. They have to go to there's certain things that they have to know how to do.
Mhm.
He didn't do any of that. But he's good at big pictures because they have to take pictures in the show.
Right, exactly. He's like, I'm good at sitting still. That's
Yeah.
fine.
And he holds his paws just perfect. It's
Mhm.
so funny.
Little
So
prince.
so I didn't even tell the agent, and she saw a picture of him on Facebook and sent him in for this thing. And the next thing she goes, "Hey, I got your new dog a job." Okay.
I love it so much. Seven's a star. It's
Yeah,
such a
he's so
delight.
Oh, I have to tell you about his name. He was named Seven, and I was going to change it, but it turns out he's my seventh dog.
Oh, that's so perfect. I was wondering if that was why he was called Seven, but he
Yeah.
came with the name.
He
And
came
then
with a name. The breeder named his litter Kid Games, which is cool too, because he visits kids in the hospital and at high schools. So he's Heads Up 7 Up. That's his
Oh,
full name.
so cute.
I know. Thank you.
Sweet Seven. I love it so much. All right, Susan, I'm going to turn the questions over to some of our readers. If you guys have questions, you can ask them one of three ways, and I'll go ahead and turn the recording off. But before I throw this to our readers, Susan, how can listeners and viewers find out more about you and stay in touch with you?
Okay, well, I have Facebook, I have Twitter, and I have Instagram. Instagram is actually, they're all Susan Hartzler author, except for Twitter is Bliss Dog, because my last Aussie was named Bliss. So, and I also have a website that has the links to everything, and it's Susan Hartzler author. So you can find out there, and you can find out about when I'm going to be done with my book, and McFarlane is already going to be publishing it. So
Awesome.
hopefully by the end of the year, early next year, maybe in the spring of next year, I'll be out with it.
Yay. Great. That's
And
exciting.
then it's on to Confessions from a Dog Momager.
I know. Then it's
right.
The machine keeps going.
I know.
It's part of it.